Andres from AA Sports. The second round of group stage games in the 2026 FIFA World Cup has concluded, and now there is only one more game left. 4 teams still in contention to try and do all they can to make the next round of the tournament. With that, here are 3 things we learned from the second round entering the final round of the group stage in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Number 1, Uruguay are officially on fraud watch entering the final match day. Uruguay have massively underperformed in this tournament. In their first game, they had 27 shots in the game, with 10 on target against a Saudi Arabia team that parked the bus and only had 35% of possession in the game. And Uruguay only scored 1 goal in the final 10 minutes just to survive and walk out of the game with a draw. Then, in their second game, a horrid defensive turnover resulted in Uruguay conceding one of the dumbest and most embarrassing goals of the tournament to Cabo Verde, resulting in Uruguay dropping points in a 2-2 draw that was great for Cabo Verde, but should have been a 2-1 win for Uruguay. With players like Valverde, Ugarte, Maximiliano Araujo, and Sebastian Cáceres and Brian Rodriguez, 2 Club America players who were part of their run of 3 consecutive Liga MX titles, and Ronald Araujo still yet to see the field due to a calf injury, making his inclusion in the roster look very questionable now. Uruguay has a lot of talent on their roster and within their player pool, but has been doing so much less with it. And with it, it has many wondering if Uruguay are now officially frauds on the world stage. And after falling in the group stage in 2022, and now staring elimination in the face in the group stage again, even with the expanded 48 team and round of 32 format, I think it's starting to become a fair question to ask and debate to have. Uruguay, as the 2-time winners of the FIFA World Cup, is historically seen as one of the titans of international football. But right now, they look like a fractured shell of what they once were. And they will almost certainly have to win in their final group stage game in order to advance to the next round and still keep their status as one of international football's giants. Number 2, I was completely wrong about the United States team. Entering this tournament, I had the USMNT on fraud watch, saying how they were a very frustrating team to watch. From being the first host nation in Copa America history to be eliminated in the group stage in 2024, a horrid 2025 CONCACAF Nations League campaign, to their players showing little motivation during the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. They entered this tournament as a team that had so much talent but was doing so much less with it. And with this in consideration, in my predictions, I even went as far as to say that the US would be the host nation that goes down in the group stage. But during this tournament, we have seen a completely different United States team, and in a very good way. They have absolutely dominated their group, destroying Paraguay's fullbacks in a 4-1 win, and then following it up with a 2-0 win versus Australia to win Group D in just their first 2 games. The team has now become exciting to watch. They're playing very exciting football as they are finally playing like a team that has the talent that they have. And if they continue this good form, I don't think Turkey stands a chance in their final game, and the US will be looking very good entering the round of 32. Number 3, Tunisia and Qatar are the worst teams in this tournament, and it's not even close. Entering this tournament, Tunisia were in very shaky form, losing in 2 of their last 3 friendly games, including a 5-0 loss versus Belgium, and in the World Cup, they have completely collapsed. They lost 5-1 versus Sweden in their first game, fired their coach mid-tournament the next day, and had absolutely no stable plan entering this tournament. And after firing Sabri after the first game, everything has gone wrong for them, offensively and defensively, conceding 9 goals in just their first 2 games. And what's even more crazy is that with their final game being against the Netherlands, it's possible that it could end up being somehow even worse in the final game. These are very dark times for Tunisian football, and they have a very long reconstruction process ahead of them. As for Qatar, while they were able to get a draw against Switzerland, it was clear that the draw was simply out of being lucky that Switzerland underperformed and didn't take them seriously. And their second game versus Canada further proved this. Against Canada, a team that has already been struggling due to the injury crisis they have been dealing with, Qatar was horrible, absolutely horrible, conceding 3 goals in just the first half alone, and immediately began fouling the Canadian players as they failed to maintain a cool head and accept the loss in a way where they could have and should have showed better sportsmanship. Malivo's dirty foul broke Gane's leg and took him out for the tournament and much longer, and made Canada's injury crisis unnecessarily worse. Words cannot describe how dirty that foul was. And I have high respect for the Canadian players for keeping their cool and not going after him after that. Because if I were a coach or player, that would have 100% been a red card worth taking while defending a teammate who just got injured on a cheap shot. Qatar fouling and hacking the players that entire second half was a terrible look. And in perfect karma, it got worse for them as Canada bagged 3 more goals after that. And at the end of the game, my father, who I was watching the game with, turned to me and asked, "So how did Qatar even qualify for this tournament?" That was what he said to me about the back-to-back AFC Asian Cup champions. You know you're doing horribly when fans watching the game begin to question how you qualified for the tournament in the first place. Qatar have been exposed as frauds on the world stage, who play dirty when they are losing and when the opposing team dominates ball possession. Thank God they are likely going down in the group stage. From the 2022 World Cup, which they should have never hosted or been in, but were because of corruption scandals in the host bidding process, only for them to be the worst performing host nation team in the FIFA World Cup history, to being eliminated in the group stage of the 2025 FIFA Arab Cup, which they also hosted, to now a 6-0 loss in 2026. This team is a disgrace to international football. And as a Mexico national team fan, you know I've got to include at least one thing that we learned in regards to La Selección de Mexico. With that, for the bonus Mexico national team takeaway and thing we have learned, it is that Mexico has one of the best defenses in the tournament and in the world right now. The defense for Mexico has not conceded a single goal in this tournament and are one of just 4 teams in the tournament so far who have not conceded any goals up to this point. And in the 2026 year so far as a whole, the Mexico national team has only conceded 1 goal this year in their game versus Belgium in March. In their second game versus South Korea, establishing and maintaining a strong defense was the key to winning the game. And in the second half, where Korea had most of the ball possession while Mexico fell back, the defense was able to hold their own and keep Korea's strong offensive front with players like Lee Kang-in, Sung Hyung-min, and Oh Hyung-yu scoreless to get the 1-0 win. Over the last 2.5 years, with players like Israel Reyes and Johan Vazquez and Cesar Montes as the starting center backs and Javier Aguirre as the head coach, the defense has been the strongest part of the team. And if they are able to make the quarterfinals for the first time since 1986, when Mexico last hosted the tournament, the defense will be one of the biggest reasons why. Andres de AA Sports, leave your opinions and things you learned during the World Cup so far in the comments section. That will be all for this video and my things that we learned from the second round of the group stage. If you enjoy the videos covering the 2026 FIFA World Cup, leave a like and subscribe to support the channel and to help it grow. The Mexico national team will play their final game in the group stage tomorrow on Wednesday night as well versus Czechia. So stay tuned in for more Mexican football and Mexico national team content on the channel. Until then, thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see what happens in the final group stage games and which teams will advance to the next round and which teams campaigns will end short in the group stage. It will be very interesting to see what happens in the final round, and we'll see what unfolds.